The massive crystalline chambers of the Galactic Council hummed with nervous energy as representatives from 12 different species gathered for what many considered the most important session in centuries. Ambassador of the Empire adjusted his ceremonial robes, the bioluminescent threads pulsing with anxiety. Across the circular assembly, the Hive Queen clicked her mandibles in a rhythm that conveyed deep concern to those who understood her species' complex language. At the center of the chamber stood a containment field, its blue energy crackling around what appeared to be an ordinary biological specimen. To most observers, it looked unremarkable, a fist-sized organ with a complex network of chambers and vessels. But the readings displayed on the holographic screens surrounding it told a different story entirely. Council Chairman Eth, a towering figure from the ancient eldest race, called the session to order. His voice, translated through quantum communicators, reached every being present in their native tongue. Esteemed colleagues, we gather today to examine evidence that challenges everything we thought we knew about the species known as humans. The human delegation sat quietly in their assigned section. Ambassador Sarah maintained her composure despite feeling the weight of countless alien eyes upon her. Beside her, Doctor fidgeted with his tablet, reviewing the data they had submitted weeks ago. Neither had expected their routine biological survey to cause such an uproar across the galaxy. The specimen before us, Chairman Eth continued, was provided voluntarily by the human delegation as part of their application for council membership. Initial analysis seemed routine until our discovered something unprecedented. He gestured toward the containment field. This organ, which humans call a heart, exhibits capabilities that should be theoretically impossible. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. The representative, a being of pure energy contained within a metallic suit, pulsed with what could only be described as disbelief. The silicon-based, resembling living mountains, rumbled in their deep, subsonic language. Dr. Aura, the council's chief, approached the display screens. Her 6 arms moved in perfect coordination as she manipulated the holographic data. Respected delegates, I have studied biological systems from over 3,000 species across the galaxy. What we see here defies our understanding of evolutionary biology. The screens showed detailed scans of the human heart in action. Blood flowed through its chambers in perfectly timed contractions, but the readings showed something more extraordinary. Electromagnetic fields pulsed in patterns that seemed to extend far beyond the organ itself. Chemical reactions occurred at the molecular level that shouldn't have been possible given the heart's relatively simple structure. The human heart, Dr. Aura explained, appears to be more than just a circulatory pump. Our scans indicate it generates and processes emotional energy in ways we've never encountered. Furthermore, it seems to influence quantum fields in its immediate vicinity. Ambassador Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. They had submitted biological samples as standard procedure, never imagining that their physiology would be scrutinized so intensely. Doctor leaned over and whispered, "Sarah, they're talking about our emotions like they're some kind of superpower." The ambassador stood, his tall frame imposing even among the diverse assembly. "Dr. Aura, you mentioned emotional energy. Could you elaborate on this concept? My people experience what might be called emotions, but they seem fundamentally different from what you're describing." Dr. Aura's tentacles writhed as she accessed more data. "Ambassador, your species and most others in the galaxy experience emotional responses through brain chemistry alone. Humans appear to have a secondary emotional processing center in their cardiac organ. When we examined human subjects experiencing various emotional states, the heart showed corresponding changes in electromagnetic output, quantum field fluctuation, and even localized space-time distortion on a microscopic level." The chamber fell silent except for the subtle hum of life support systems. Council Chairman Eth's ancient features remained impassive, but those who knew him could detect the deep concern in his bioelectric aura. Hive Queen's voice buzzed through the translators. "Are you suggesting that human emotions have measurable effects on reality itself?" Doctor stood up in the human section, unable to contain himself. "With respect, honored delegates, we've always known that emotions can be powerful. They drive us to create art, literature, music. They motivate us to protect our loved ones, to explore the unknown, to push beyond our limitations." Dr. Chairman Eth acknowledged, "Please approach the central platform." Walked to the center of the chamber, acutely aware that he was likely the first human to address the full Galactic Council. We submitted our biological data in good faith, hoping to demonstrate our commitment to peaceful cooperation. We had no idea our physiology was unusual. The representative's voice rumbled like distant thunder. Unusual is an understatement, young human. In our geological timescales, we have observed countless species evolve and transcend their physical limitations. None have developed what your kind possesses. Dr. Aura manipulated the displays again, showing comparative analyses. To put this in perspective, the most emotionally advanced species we've encountered, the empathic crystals of Andromeda, can sense and influence emotional states within a radius of several meters. The readings from human subjects suggest a potential range measured in astronomical units. Gasps and various alien expressions of shock filled the chamber. The representative's energy form flickered rapidly. Astronomical units? That would mean human emotions could potentially affect entire star systems. Ambassador stood. Dr. Aura, our emotions don't control star systems. We're not gods or cosmic entities. We're just people trying to find our place in the universe. Perhaps, the replied, but consider this, every human we've tested shows these readings. Your entire species carries this potential. Moreover, humans seem completely unaware of it, which suggests your abilities remain largely undeveloped. The Silicon Syndicate representative, a collective consciousness speaking through crystalline formations, resonated with harmonic frequencies. This explains certain anomalies we've observed in systems near human space. Unexplained fluctuations in stellar activity, unusual gravitational patterns, even reports of impossible coincidences during human exploration missions. Doctor felt the weight of revelation pressing down on him. You're saying our emotions might be unconsciously affecting space itself. The evidence suggests exactly that, Dr. Aura confirmed. We've documented 17 separate incidents in the past decade where human vessels encountered seemingly insurmountable obstacles, only to have reality seemingly bend in their favor. Asteroid fields that parted at crucial moments, stellar phenomena that provided exactly the gravitational assistance needed for escape, equipment failures that somehow resulted in breakthrough discoveries. The psionic collective's representative, a being that existed partially in multiple dimensions, materialized more solidly in the chamber. The implications are staggering. If humans can unconsciously influence reality through emotional energy, what might they accomplish if they learned to harness this ability deliberately? Chairman Eth raised his hand for silence. This brings us to the core issue. The Galactic Council has maintained peace and stability by carefully managing the balance of power among member species. Each brings unique strengths: the military prowess, this energy manipulation, the geological engineering, the Hive Queen's collective intelligence. He paused, his ancient eyes focusing on the human delegation. But never have we encountered a species whose very existence might fundamentally alter the nature of reality itself. The question before us is not merely whether humans deserve council membership, but whether granting it could destabilize everything we've built. Ambassador felt anger rising within her chest, but she forced herself to remain diplomatic. Honored Chairman, humanity has proven itself capable of reason, cooperation, and peaceful coexistence. We've shared our technology freely, participated in joint research projects, and offered assistance during several galactic crises. Why should our biology disqualify us from participation in the galactic community? The eldest race representative beside Eth spoke for the first time, his voice carrying the weight of eons. Young human, it is not your qualifications we question, but your very existence that concerns us. Your species has already begun to affect galactic events in ways you don't understand. The battle fleet that mysteriously experienced engine failures when approaching you, preventing what could have been a devastating first contact scenario. The plague ship that somehow found itself in a temporal loop until its cargo was neutralized. The rogue black hole that altered its trajectory to avoid your colonial systems. Doctor's tablet displayed data he'd never seen before. You've been monitoring us this entire time. We monitor all developing species, the eldest replied. But humans have presented unique challenges. Your emotional resonance creates quantum echoes that ripple across vast distances. Your exploration vessels leave traces that our most sensitive equipment can detect from thousands of light years away. Hive Queen's antennae twitched. The question remains, can humans learn to control these abilities, or will they eventually tear apart the fabric of space-time itself? The chamber erupted in discussion as representatives debated in dozens of languages. Translation matrices struggled to keep up with overlapping conversations about quantum physics, emotional theory, and galactic politics. The human delegation sat in stunned silence, processing the revelation that their species might possess abilities beyond their wildest imagination. Dr. Ara continued her analysis, the screens now showing theoretical models of human emotional energy propagation. Based on our calculations, a single human experiencing intense emotion could theoretically create quantum fluctuations detectable across multiple star systems. A group of humans working together might be able to influence matter and energy on a planetary scale. The warlike representative slammed his armored fist on his podium. This explains why human military units consistently outperform predictions. Their emotional bonds, their concept of morale. It's not just psychological. It's literally bending probability in their favor. Furthermore, Dr. Ara added, humans appear to be completely unaware of these effects. They attribute their successes to luck, determination, or divine intervention. This unconscious nature might actually amplify their abilities, removing the self-doubt and mental barriers that typically limit psionic development in other species. Ambassador stood again, her voice carrying new conviction. If what you're saying is true, then humanity needs to be part of the galactic community more than ever. We need guidance, education, and cooperation to understand and responsibly develop these abilities. Isolating us would be far more dangerous than including us. Chairman Ed's expression remained unreadable. A compelling argument, Ambassador, but consider the perspective of species who have spent developing technologies and abilities that humans might casually surpass through emotional expression alone. The balance of power that has maintained galactic peace could be shattered. The cybernetic collective, beings who had transcended biological emotion, transmitted their concerns through direct data stream. We have achieved perfect logical efficiency by eliminating emotional variables. The human approach represents everything we have evolved beyond, yet their results speak for themselves. Doctor accessed his tablet's historical records. Perhaps that's exactly what the galaxy needs. Every species here has achieved greatness by suppressing or controlling some aspect of their nature. Humans might represent a different path, one where emotion and logic work together rather than in opposition. The psionic collective's representative shimmered with interest. An intriguing perspective. Our species developed mental abilities by disciplining our thoughts and emotions into rigid patterns. Humans seem to achieve similar or superior results through passionate, undisciplined expression. Dr. Ara projected new data showing human achievements throughout their brief spacefaring history. The pattern is consistent. Whenever humans face impossible odds, their collective emotional response creates quantum resonances that manifest as what they call miracles or lucky breaks. But the mathematical probability of such consistent fortune is essentially zero. The chamber fell quiet as delegates processed this information. The human heart in the containment field continued its steady rhythm, unaware that it had become the focal point of a debate that could reshape galactic civilization. Ambassador felt the weight of her species' future pressing upon her shoulders. Every heartbeat seemed louder, every breath more significant. Around her, beings whose civilizations spanned debated whether humanity represented hope or catastrophe for the galaxy. The Silicon Syndicate resonated with new harmonic patterns. We propose a trial period. Allow humans limited council membership while conducting intensive studies of their abilities. If they can learn to control their emotional resonance, they could become valuable allies. If not, containment protocols can be implemented. Chairman Eth considered this carefully. The ancient eldest had seen the rise and fall of countless civilizations, but never had they encountered a species whose very nature challenged the fundamental laws of physics. As the debate continued, none of the assembled delegates noticed the subtle changes occurring in the containment field around the human heart. The quantum fluctuations were growing stronger, responding not to the organ itself, but to the intense emotions of the humans present. Fear, hope, determination, and love were creating ripples in space-time that would soon extend far beyond the council chambers. The galaxy was about to discover that the human heart was more powerful than anyone had imagined, and the consequences of this revelation would reshape the cosmos itself. The emergency klaxons throughout the Galactic Council station began wailing 3 hours after the session ended. Ambassador Sarah was in her quarters, video calling Earth to brief the president on the day's revelations, when the station's artificial gravity fluctuated violently. Her coffee cup floated momentarily in midair before crashing to the floor. What was that? President image flickered on the screen as quantum communications struggled with sudden interference. Before Sarah could respond, Dr. Ara's voice echoed through the station's intercom system. All delegates report to the emergency assembly chamber immediately. We are experiencing unprecedented quantum anomalies. Sarah ended the call and rushed through corridors filled with panicking alien beings. The guards, normally composed and disciplined, moved with obvious urgency. Their bioluminescent armor pulsed erratic warning patterns. The representative she passed seemed to be losing cohesion, his energy form crackling with instability. The emergency chamber buzzed with activity as hundreds of the galaxy's finest scientists and diplomats gathered around holographic displays showing impossible readings. The quantum distortions that had started around the human heart specimen were expanding exponentially, creating ripples that now extended beyond the station itself. Dr. Ara stood at the center of multiple floating screens, her 6 arms working frantically to process incoming data. The emotional resonance field has grown beyond all theoretical limits. It's creating a cascade effect throughout local spacetime. Chairman Ed's ancient features showed strain for the first time in. Report the scope of the phenomenon. The wavefront is expanding at approximately 1/10 light speed, Dr. Ara replied, her voice tight with concern. At current rates, it will reach the nearest inhabited systems within days. We're receiving reports of gravitational anomalies from observation posts throughout the sector. Doctor pushed through the crowd, his tablet displaying readings he could barely comprehend. This started when the council session ended, when emotions were running high. The psionic collective's representative materialized beside him, its multidimensional form more solid than usual. Precisely. The combined emotional energy from your delegation, fear for your species' future, hope for acceptance, love for it appears to have triggered something in the specimen. Ambassador joined them, studying the displays with growing alarm. The heart in the containment field, it's still responding to our emotions even though it's isolated. Dr. Ara manipulated the displays to show a detailed view of the specimen. The human heart was now glowing with an inner light visible to the naked eye. Its electromagnetic output had increased 1,000-fold, and spacetime around it showed distortions that measurement. The containment field is actually amplifying the effect, she explained. The quantum barriers we erected to study the specimen have created a resonance chamber. Your emotional energy is bouncing back and forth, building in intensity with each cycle. The war chief's armored form clanked as he stepped forward. Can the containment be shut down? Not safely, Dr. Ara replied. The energy levels are beyond our technology's capacity to safely dissipate. Attempting to collapse the field could create a quantum explosion that would destroy the station and everything within a dozen light years. Hive Queen's mandibles clicked in rapid patterns that her translator interpreted as extreme agitation. So we're trapped by our own attempt to study humanity's gifts. Doctor accessed his tablet's biological databases. Wait, Dr. Ara, you said the heart is responding to our emotions, but it's isolated from its body, cut off from the nervous system that would normally regulate it. How is it still receiving emotional signals? The eyes widened with sudden understanding. The quantum entanglement, human emotional energy operates through quantum fields. Physical proximity isn't required. The heart remains quantum entangled with its original host. All eyes turned to a young human in the back of the gathering. Dr. Lisa Park, a graduate student in xenobiology who had volunteered the heart specimen for study. Her face had gone pale as the implications became clear. The heart came from me, she whispered. I donated it for research after a transport accident damaged it beyond surgical repair. They grew me a new one from stem cells. Ambassador felt her chest tighten. Lisa, how do you feel right now? Terrified, Dr. Park admitted. Overwhelmed, guilty that my donation might have caused this crisis, but also, she paused, struggling to find words. Amazed, proud that humanity might be capable of something so extraordinary. The displays around them showed an immediate spike in the quantum distortions. Dr. Park's emotional response was being transmitted instantaneously to her isolated heart, which amplified and broadcast the energy across vast distances. The Silicon Syndicate's crystalline formations resonated with urgent harmonics. The emotional feedback loop is accelerating. Each response from Dr. Park increases the field strength, which in turn affects her emotional state, creating even stronger responses. Chairman Eth stepped forward with the authority of Ian's. Dr. Park, I understand this is difficult, but you must try to remain calm. Your emotional state is directly affecting the stability of local space-time. Lisa laughed nervously, which only made the reading spike higher. Remain calm? You're telling me that my feelings are threatening to tear apart reality and you want me to stay calm. The eldest representative spoke with ancient wisdom. Young human, throughout cosmic history, great power has always required great responsibility. Your species may possess abilities that dwarf those of civilizations millions of years older than yours. The question is whether you can learn to wield such power wisely. Doctor moved closer to Lisa, recognizing the symptoms of an anxiety attack building in her breathing and posture. Lisa, remember your meditation training from the academy. Focus on something peaceful, something that makes you feel centered. I can't, she replied, her voice rising. Every time I try to calm down, I think about how my emotions are affecting space itself, and it makes me more nervous. The quantum distortions began pulsing in rhythm with Lisa's accelerating heartbeat. Across the chamber, sensitive equipment started malfunctioning as reality itself became unstable. Dr. Aura worked frantically at her controls. The wave front has accelerated. It's now approaching significant fractions of light speed. At this rate, it will reach inhabited systems within hours rather than days. The cybernetic collective transmitted urgent data streams. Our analysis indicates that the emotional energy is creating a positive feedback loop with the quantum vacuum itself. This could potentially propagate throughout the entire galaxy. Ambassador approached Dr. Park slowly, her diplomatic training helping her recognize the need for a different approach. Lisa, I want you to think about why you volunteered for this study in the first place. Lisa's breathing slowed slightly as she accessed the memory. I wanted to help, to contribute something meaningful to first contact with alien civilizations, to show that humans could be valuable partners. That's love, Sarah said gently. Love for your species, love for the pursuit of knowledge, love for the potential of cooperation between different peoples. You're not just projecting fear into the quantum field, you're also broadcasting hope and compassion. The displays around them began showing new readings. The chaotic energy patterns were beginning to organize themselves into more stable configurations. Dr. Aura's tentacles writhed with excitement as she processed the data. Remarkable, the emotional energy is self-organizing when directed by positive intentions rather than fear. The quantum distortions are becoming more coherent, more controlled. The psionic collective's representative shimmered with interest. We're observing the birth of a new form of consciousness, one that operates through emotional resonance rather than traditional thought patterns. Dr. Park closed her eyes, focusing on the feelings that had driven her to volunteer in the first place. Her love for scientific discovery, her hope for peaceful contact between species, her determination to make a positive difference in the universe. As her emotional state stabilized, the quantum readings began showing increasingly organized patterns. The representative rumbled with geological patience. The energy field is beginning to resonate with natural quantum frequencies. Rather than disrupting space-time, it's starting to harmonize with it. Doctor monitored his tablet with growing amazement. The wave front has stabilized. It's still expanding, but at a controlled rate that won't cause spatial disruption. It's like Lisa's emotional state is teaching the quantum field how to behave. Hive Queen clicked her mandibles in patterns that indicated profound respect. The young human is demonstrating what we failed to understand. Human emotional energy doesn't simply affect reality, it communicates with reality. It's a dialogue rather than a monologue. Chairman Eth observed the stabilizing readings with ancient eyes that had seen the birth and death of stars. Dr. Park, you are currently in direct emotional communion with quantum forces that span light years. How does this feel? Lisa opened her eyes, and they seemed to hold depths that hadn't been there before. It's like the universe is alive, and it's been waiting for someone to talk to it. The quantum field isn't just energy, it's curious. It wants to understand emotions the same way we want to understand physics. The chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. The human capacity for emotional resonance wasn't just a biological quirk. It was a form of communication with the fundamental forces of reality itself. Dr. Ara displayed new theoretical models showing the potential applications. If humans can learn to consciously direct their emotional resonance, they could communicate with quantum systems directly. Faster than light communication, matter manipulation, even influencing the laws of physics on local scales. The ambassador's bioluminescent robes pulsed with awe. This would revolutionize everything we understand about the relationship between consciousness and cosmos. The representative, his energy form now stable and bright, pulsed with excitement. Our species has spent millions of years learning to manipulate energy through technology. Humans might be able to achieve the same results through emotional expression alone. Dr. Park remained connected to the quantum field. Her consciousness expanded beyond anything previously thought possible for a human. I can sense other quantum signatures out there, other forms of consciousness that exist in different dimensions, different states of reality. They're trying to communicate, but they've never found a species capable of emotional resonance on this scale. Ambassador realized they were witnessing the birth of a new chapter in galactic history. Dr. Park, can you communicate with these other consciousness? I'm trying, Lisa replied, her voice carrying harmonics that seemed to resonate through the chamber itself. They're ancient, far older than any biological species. They exist in the quantum foam between dimensions, and they've been watching biological evolution for eons, waiting for a species to develop the right kind of consciousness to make contact. The readings showed increasing organization in the quantum field as Lisa established communication protocols with entities beyond physical reality. The wave front that had threatened galactic stability was now becoming a bridge between dimensions. The Silicon Syndicate resonated with new harmonic patterns. This changes everything. Humans aren't just another space-faring species, they're a bridge between physical and quantum reality. Chairman Eth raised his hand for attention. Dr. Park, these quantum entities you're communicating with, what are their intentions toward biological life? Lisa's consciousness navigated dimensional boundaries that shouldn't have been possible to cross. They're teachers. They've been waiting for a species to evolve beyond pure physical existence while still maintaining biological consciousness. They want to share knowledge, but only with beings who can understand both logic and emotion, both matter and quantum fields. The implications rippled through the assembly like shock waves. Humanity hadn't just applied for council membership. They had accidentally become ambassadors to forms of consciousness that transcended physical reality. Dr. Ara processed readings that challenged every theory she'd ever learned. The quantum entities are beginning to manifest in our dimensional space. They're using Dr. Park's emotional resonance as an anchor point to bridge the gap between dimensions. Shimmering forms began appearing throughout the chamber, beings of pure quantum energy that visual comprehension. They communicated through emotional resonance, their thoughts translated directly into feelings that each delegate could understand according to their species' capacity. The message was universal. For the first time in cosmic history, a bridge had been built between the physical and quantum realms. Humanity's gift for emotional resonance had opened doorways that advanced civilizations had spent millions of years trying to unlock. The galaxy would never be the same. 6 months after the Dimensional Bridge event, the Galactic Council chambers had been completely redesigned. The traditional circular assembly now included specialized quantum resonance nodes that allowed both physical and quantum dimensional beings to participate in discussions. The shimmer of entities had become as common as the breathing apparatus of methane-based life forms. Ambassador Sarah stood before an unprecedented gathering that included not only representatives from the 12-member species, but also quantum consciousness entities whose existence had been theoretical until Dr. Lisa Park's breakthrough. The human delegation had grown from 3 individuals to a full embassy staff, reflecting humanity's new status as the galaxy's first ambassadors. Dr. Park herself had remarkable changes. Her consciousness now existed partially in quantum space, allowing her to maintain constant communication with beings from higher dimensions. When she spoke, Her words carried harmonic resonances that could be understood by any form of consciousness, regardless of its dimensional origin. Honored delegates and quantum entities, Chairman Eth began, his ancient voice now enhanced with quantum harmonics to reach all levels of consciousness present. We convene today to formally establish the protocols for cooperation that humanity has made possible. The achievements of the past 6 months had exceeded everyone's wildest expectations. Human emotional resonance hadn't just opened communication with quantum beings, it had unlocked technologies and knowledge that advanced galactic civilization by in mere months. Dr. Ara, now head of the newly formed Department of Quantum Biology, displayed holographic models that would have been pure fantasy half a year ago. The collaboration between human emotional resonance and quantum consciousness has yielded extraordinary results. We've developed faster-than-light communication that operates instantaneously across galactic distances, matter reconstruction techniques that can transform any element into any other, and energy sources that tap directly into the quantum vacuum. The ambassador adjusted his new bioluminescent suit, which now incorporated quantum-enhanced threads that could process emotional energy. The military applications alone have revolutionized peacekeeping. Human soldiers working with quantum entities can detect hostile intentions before they're consciously formed, preventing conflicts before they begin. Hive Queen's mandibles clicked in patterns of profound satisfaction. Our collective consciousness has expanded beyond our species. Human emotional resonance allows us to form temporary mental links with quantum beings, increasing our collective intelligence by orders of magnitude. But perhaps the most remarkable development was the emergence of hybrid consciousness, biological beings who had learned to partially exist in quantum space, while quantum entities had learned to manifest limited physical forms. The boundaries between dimensions were becoming increasingly fluid. Now director of the Human Quantum Relations Institute, addressed a concern that had emerged during the integration process. We've discovered that not all humans possess the same level of emotional resonance capability. About 60% of our population shows strong quantum sensitivity, 30% show moderate ability, and 10% appear to be what we're calling quantum neutral. The cybernetic collective, who had initially viewed human emotion as inefficient, transmitted their revised conclusions through direct data stream. Our analysis indicates that human quantum neutrality is actually essential for stability. Individuals without emotional resonance serve as anchors to baseline reality, preventing quantum-sensitive humans from losing connection to physical existence. One of the quantum entities manifested more solidly, its form resembling crystallized light. Its communication reached every consciousness present as pure understanding rather than words. The message conveyed eons of patient waiting, followed by joy at finally finding biological partners capable of true cooperation. Dr. Park, her consciousness spanning multiple dimensional levels simultaneously, translated for those unable to receive quantum communication directly. The quantum entities explain that they've observed thousands of species evolve toward technological sophistication, but none achieved the precise balance of logic and emotion necessary for dimensional bridging. Humans are unique in maintaining passionate emotional responses while developing scientific rationality. The Silicon Syndicate resonated with new harmonic frequencies that incorporated quantum overtones. This explains certain anomalies in human development we've observed. Your species consistently overcame obstacles that should have been insurmountable, not through superior technology, but through emotional determination that literally altered probability around you. Ambassador reflected on humanity's journey to this moment. From a small planet orbiting an unremarkable star, they had become the bridge between physical and quantum reality. The responsibility was staggering, but so was the potential. "There's something else," Dr. Park announced, her consciousness touching dimensions that even quantum entities rarely visited. "The quantum beings have shown me deeper layers of reality. This dimensional bridge we've created, it's just the beginning. There are consciousness entities in even higher dimensions, beings of such vast intelligence that quantum entities seem simple by comparison." The chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. The hierarchy of consciousness extended far beyond what anyone had imagined. Earth's humans had opened not just a single door, but the first level of an infinite tower of dimensional existence. Chairman Eth, whose ancient race had thought themselves the eldest in the galaxy, showed humility that surprised many delegates. Dr. Park, what do these higher dimensional beings want from us? Lisa's form flickered as her consciousness navigated levels of reality that strained even her enhanced abilities. They're teachers, like the quantum entities, but they work on cosmic scales. They've been waiting for the emergence of a species capable of bridging multiple dimensional levels. They want to guide galactic civilization toward something they call the Great Integration, a state where all forms of consciousness, from biological to quantum to higher dimensional, work together as a unified cosmic entity. The representative rumbled with geological patience. How long would such an integration take? Geological time scales for most species, Dr. Park replied. But humans might be able to accelerate the process significantly. Our emotional resonance seems to act as a catalyst for consciousness evolution in other species. Dr. Ara displayed new research showing how proximity to emotionally resonant humans had begun affecting other species in unexpected ways. We're developing enhanced empathy. Energy beings were discovering individual identity within their collective existence, and even the logical cybernetic collective had begun incorporating intuitive processing into their decision-making algorithms. The human effect, as scientists had dubbed it, was spreading throughout the galaxy. Not through force or technology, but through emotional resonance that encouraged other species to explore aspects of consciousness they had never considered. The war chief, whose people had spent perfecting the art of conflict, removed his helmet to reveal features softened by an expression of wonder. My species has begun to understand concepts we previously dismissed as weakness. Compassion, mercy, love. We now recognize these as forms of strength that can accomplish what violence never could. The quantum entity manifested more solidly, its crystalline form pulsing with colors that had no names in any biological language. Through Dr. Park's translation, it conveyed a message of cosmic significance. The universe itself was evolving, developing new forms of consciousness and new ways of understanding reality. Biological life had always been part of this evolution, but until now, it had been unable to participate in the cosmic conversation. The quantum beings have been waiting for biological consciousness to evolve to this level for billions of years, Dr. Park translated. They explain that the universe is approaching a critical threshold, a point where all consciousness within it will need to integrate or face stagnation. Humanity's gift for emotional resonance is the key to this integration. Ambassador stood to address the assembly. If this is true, then our responsibilities extend far beyond simple council membership. We're not just representing humanity, we're representing the future of consciousness itself. The psionic collective's representative shimmered with new understanding. This explains why human exploration vessels consistently encountered phenomena that probability. The universe itself was guiding you toward this moment, preparing humanity for its role as dimensional bridges. Doctor consulted his enhanced tablet, which now interfaced directly with quantum databases. We've identified several other developing species that show potential for emotional resonance abilities. If we can guide their development, we might be able to create a network of dimensional bridges throughout the galaxy. The implications were staggering. Rather than a single species serving as the bridge between dimensions, the galaxy could develop a web of consciousness that spanned multiple levels of reality. Each species would contribute their unique perspectives and abilities to a collective understanding that exceeded the sum of its parts. Hive Queen's excitement was transmitted through both her physical vocalizations and the quantum harmonics her species had learned to generate. A galactic consciousness network, with each species maintaining their individual identity while contributing to a larger awareness. It's the perfect evolution of our collective intelligence concept. The quantum entity pulsed with approval, its message conveying eons of anticipation for exactly this development. Through Dr. Park, it explained that such networks had evolved in other galaxies, leading to forms of civilization and consciousness that transcended physical limitations entirely. But with these revelations came new challenges. Not all species embraced the changes that human emotional resonance was catalyzing. The isolation protocol's faction, led by species that preferred technological solutions to consciousness evolution, had begun organizing resistance to what they called the emotional contamination of galactic civilization. There are those who fear what we're becoming, Chairman Eth acknowledged. Species that have spent millions of years developing pure logical systems or perfect biological efficiency or technological transcendence without emotional complication. They see human emotional resonance as a threat to their achieved perfection. Dr. Park's consciousness touched the edges of this resistance, sensing fear and anger from civilizations that had defined themselves by their absence of emotional variability. They don't understand that emotions aren't obstacles to perfection. They're pathways to forms of perfection that logic alone can never reach. The higher dimensional beings, communicating through quantum entities and Dr. Park's expanded consciousness, offered perspective that spanned cosmic time scales. They had observed countless civilizations reach crossroads similar to what the galaxy now faced. Those that embraced consciousness integration evolved beyond physical limitations to become cosmic gardeners, nurturing the development of awareness throughout the universe. Those that rejected integration eventually stagnated and faded into irrelevance. The choice isn't just about accepting human emotions, Dr. Park translated. It's about whether galactic civilization will evolve toward cosmic consciousness or remain trapped in dimensional limitations. The debate that followed lasted days, with representatives from hundreds of species joining the discussion. Some embraced the potential for consciousness evolution, while others demanded strict controls on human emotional resonance to prevent further reality contamination. But the quantum entities made their position clear through demonstrations that left no room for doubt. They showed the assembled delegates glimpses of galaxies where consciousness integration had succeeded, cosmic civilizations of unimaginable beauty and capability, where physical and quantum beings work together to create realities beyond current comprehension. They also showed the alternative, galaxies where integration had been rejected, now populated only by automated systems carrying out the final programs of civilizations that had chosen technological perfection over consciousness evolution. The choice was stark: evolve or become cosmic relics. Ambassador stood to deliver humanity's formal response. We accept the responsibility of serving as dimensional bridges, not as rulers or guides, but as facilitators. We offer our emotional resonance freely to any species willing to explore new forms of consciousness, while respecting the choice of those who prefer their current paths. But Dr. Park, her consciousness spanning dimensions beyond counting, sensed something approaching, a cosmic event that would make the choice unavoidable for every form of consciousness in the galaxy. The Great Integration was about to begin, whether galactic civilization was ready or not.